Television highlights of the news of yesteryear. It's November 27th, 1928, and Herbert Clark Hoover is on tour of the Americas. Just a few days ago, he became President-elect of the United States. And here in Corinto, Nicaragua, man who'll spend 4 years in White House sees human Statue of Liberty and signs of hearty welcome wherever he goes. Back home, Calvin Coolidge is sitting out rest of his term as aboard cruiser Maryland, his successor-to-be meets with Nicaragua's President Diaz and his successor, President-elect Moncada. Then Hoover continues south past Panama and into the Pacific, where the cruiser crosses the equator. Here, Hoover and his wife watch and their son Alan suffers through traditional ceremonies in honor of Neptune, king of the sea. These are Hoover's last days of complete relaxation and peace of mind. For ahead of him lie 4 troublesome years in the White House, with a once prosperous nation startled and then stunned by the wound of depression. But on December 2nd, 1928, Hoover's in Ecuador, and as President and Mrs. Ayora join their distinguished guests, soldiers march in the streets of Guayaquil to pay honor to visitor from the big nation of the North. It's a holiday for everyone along the route of Hoover's triumphal tour. On coast of Peru, Hoover is greeted by Mayor Caleo of Lima and his cabinet, and begins long drive to the capital. Man who won presidency over Al Smith of New York wins the hearts and favor of thousands of South Americans. They follow his car to Lima and see him greeted by President Leguia of Peru. They hail his every act as a sign of lasting brotherhood between the Americas of the North and of the South. In Chile, far from his native land, Hoover finds a welcome warm as the December air. For it's summer in South America when it's winter here. Chile's President Carlos Ibáñez joins our president-to-be as, with all the pomp and splendor of ancient majesty, Hoover is taken through the crowd-lined streets of Santiago to the U.S. Embassy. This is southernmost stop in Hoover's Pacific tour of South America. And here, with giant Andes Mountains in the background, Hoover says goodbye and crosses continent to Argentina, where, in Buenos Aires, he is joined by Argentine officials as he attends the National Congress, where he talks with men who make Argentina's laws. Then, with President Irigoyen, Hoover and his family leave for a trip to Montevideo, capital of Uruguay. Then northward they sail Atlantic waters and steam past towering Sugarloaf Mountains. For next stop is Rio De Janeiro, capital of Brazil. Here, Hoover's party sees South America's most beautiful city at its festive best. Again, the people cheer him wildly, and on steps of government building, Hoover is received by Brazil's chief executive, Washington Luiz. During his long stay in the capital, Hoover has time for unofficial things. He's at country's famed jockey club, adding prestige and historic color to one of Brazil's most exciting events of social season. But the holiday is soon over. It's 3 days before Christmas, 1928, as on battleship Utah, Hoover heads for home. Big guns fire a salute to Brazil and to all South American lands. On high seas, Mr. and Mrs. Hoover get a salute from the Utah's crew. For the man these sailors are cheering will soon be their commander-in-chief. And then on 4th of March, 1929, Calvin Coolidge smilingly turns his high office over to Herbert Hoover, 30th President of the United States. It's 1930. And like mushrooms, miniature golf courses have popped up all over the nation. There's hardly a vacant lot in America that hasn't been turned into a pattern of paths for putting.
These are depression times, and with plenty of time, but not enough money to foot the fees of lusher links, Americans from Maine to California go goofy over miniature golf. Yes, in 1930, millions of depression-dazed Americans were mighty sad. They had to wait in line to rent a ball and putter and play miniature golf.
It's 1918, and with nations at war, 4 American society girls are going to become auto mechanics and work in the Army grease pits in Paris. Training for job are Alice O'Brien, Marguerite Davis, Agnes Morrison, and Alice Warren. It looks like hard work, and it is. Girls weren't kidding about this and did good job as mechanics. But bet the Paris repair stations were suddenly overcrowded with cars that needed a little tuning up.
Here's what Chico Marx looked like in the early 1930s. One of the 4 famed Marx brothers of vaudeville and motion pictures, Chico's piano-playing member of the hilarious quartet. At this date, though, Chico and brothers had not yet made their best movies.
With Mrs. Worthington Dick, right, here's Ann Morgan, famous daughter of financier J.P. Morgan. Pictured here in early 1920s, Miss Morgan was 1915 winner of gold medal from International Institute of Social Sciences, on way to other high awards.
Oliver Wendell Holmes, famous son of a famous father. Here in middle 1920s, he poses with William Howard Taft, former president, now Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Holmes is himself an associate justice with 29 years of service when he retired in 1932.
Rough seas off Barnegat Light, New Jersey make it rough on cameraman, but lashing waves are even rougher on grounded transport Sumner. It's December 1916, and ship has run aground, and soon all hope of saving her is gone. Broken by waves, she settles and sinks, a total loss.
In early 1920s, young people of New York are all hopped up about the newest rage in sidewalk entertainment. It's the Pogo Stick, suddenly American youth's most popular way of doing something different. Skates and bikes were old hat to these boys and girls, and if you couldn't bounce with the best, you just didn't belong. But the fad faded, and skates and bikes came back.
It's 1926, and here's 300 pounds of airplane that flies. Powered by 2-cylinder engine, it taxis off and hits the air at 100 miles an hour, plenty fast for 1926. With wing spread of only 22 feet and 15-foot fuselage, plane was developed by Otto Koppen and was sensation of its day.
Revolution that was just evolution. Here in the late 1920s, bathing beauties modeled the garb of the beach-going girls since 1900. And what changes there were don't seem to have been much for the better. A girl went in the water then to hide her bathing suit. But what's coming off here? Why, it's off with the old to reveal the new. Well, new for the 1920s anyway. Just recently free to vote, Women have decided they should be free to saunter in the surf and not be drowned by layers and layers and frilly material. Brave girls indeed to walk around like this in the terrible 20s. But how they would have blushed at the mere thought of a bikini.
Another flying fin. It's May 2nd, 1926. And here's New York Graphic's modified marathon. 500 runners are entered in second annual grind from 173rd and the Concourse through 12 miles of New York streets to City Hall. Among contestants is Finland's Olympic champion, Albin Stenroos, competing against some of the best long-distance runners in America. Stenroos gallops route in 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 50 seconds. And yes, the winner is Albin Stenroos of Finland, home of Paavo Nurmi, the original flying fin. Bullseye at Bryn Mawr. It's August 20th, 1926, and at Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, archers vie for national archery title. In men's division, Dr. P.W. Crouch is favored to retain the title he won in the contest the year before, but he's getting keen competition from several newcomers. Among girl archers, best of lot seems to be Miss Dorothy Smith of Dr. Crouch's hometown, Newton, Massachusetts. Here's Miss Smith now showing real championship form. And here's Dr. Crouch, a defeated champion, totaling a tally for a new champion among women, Dorothy Smith, Queen of Archers.